Ladies, I want to speak to you straight today, the way it needs to be said, because too many women are living confused, doubting themselves and questioning their worth when a man disappears from their lives. You see, it happens more often than you realize. He's texting less, calling less, and sometimes he vanishes completely. Your heart races, your mind spins, and you start asking the same questions over and over. Did he stop loving me? Did I do something wrong? But let me tell you something you need to hear. When a man truly loves you, sometimes disappearing is not about losing interest. It's about the intensity of his feelings, the depth of the connection, and the way your presence makes him face parts of himself he's not ready to confront. A man disappears for reasons you may not even realize. Sometimes it's fear. Fear of loving too deeply, fear of not being enough, fear of failing you. Sometimes it's personal growth. He needs to step back, improve himself, and become a man worthy of the woman standing in front of him. Sometimes it's simply the pressure of seeing a woman who is too consistent, too loyal, and too valuable. And he panics because he feels he cannot match her energy. Today, we are going to break it down. We are going to uncover the truths that most women don't understand about why a man disappears, how his mind works when love becomes real, and how you can protect your heart, maintain your dignity, and use your silence and self-respect as the most powerful tools in your relationship. By the end of this talk, you'll see things clearly. You'll stop blaming yourself, and you'll understand that a man who truly loves, you will always find his way back. Men disappear when their feelings go deeper than they expected. A man can stand in front of the world with courage, with confidence, with strength. But when it comes to his emotions, when it comes to the kind of feelings that shake him at his core, he becomes a completely different version of himself. This is the part women often misunderstand, not because women are wrong, but because men rarely express what's happening inside them. They don't talk about it, they don't show it, and they definitely don't admit it. But the truth is simple. When a man's feelings go deeper than he ever planned, deeper than he thought he was ready for, deeper than he ever allowed himself to feel before, he disappears. Not because he wants to walk away, not because he wants someone else, not because he's done with you. He disappears because he wasn't expecting the emotional weight that comes with genuinely caring for a woman who carries real value, real depth. A man can handle casual attention, surface level affection, flirting, even intimacy. Those things don't scare him. What scares him is the feeling that he could fall harder than he intended, harder than he ever has, and harder than he knows how to manage. He feels the ground shift beneath him, and instead of stepping forward, he steps back, not to run from you, but to run from the version of himself he isn't sure he's ready to meet. See, men are raised with a silent script: be tough, be strong, don't get too emotional, don't lose control. So when he starts catching feelings he didn't prepare for, feelings that make him imagine a future, feelings that make him check his phone waiting for your text, feelings that make him want to protect you, support you, and commit to you, that script starts breaking. And when a man feels his emotional guard collapsing, he reacts the only way he's been conditioned to react, by retreating. His silence is not emptiness, it's confusion. His disappearance is not rejection, it's shock. He disappears because he wasn't prepared to feel this much, this fast, this deep. There is something that happens inside a man when he starts falling for a woman who touches his soul. Suddenly, his habits don't feel the same. His routine doesn't feel the same. Even his priorities start shifting. He starts thinking about what he's doing with his life. He starts questioning whether he's ready for the level of honesty, vulnerability, and involvement that comes with loving a woman like you. And for a man who has lived guarded, controlled, independent, or emotionally closed for years, that shift feels overwhelming. Love, real love, makes him feel exposed. It makes him feel like he could lose control of a life he spent years trying to maintain. When he feels this, he disappears not because he doesn't care, but because he cares too much and doesn't know how to operate inside that feeling. He steps back to regain emotional balance, to breathe, to process, to understand what's happening to him. He needs space not from you, but from the intensity of his own feelings. You didn't do something wrong. You didn't pressure him. You didn't overstep. The connection simply went deeper than his emotional experience has ever gone, and he wasn't ready for that depth. A man's disappearance often has nothing to do with you and everything to do with his internal fight. He starts worrying whether he can meet your expectations, whether he can be consistent, whether he'll disappoint you, whether he's enough. Men don't disappear because a woman is too much. They disappear because she's exactly the type of woman who exposes the parts of him he has never dealt with. You bring out his softness, his vulnerability, his fear, his desire, his longing, and those emotions are powerful enough to shake him. So when a man disappears as his feelings deepen, it's not a sign that he's over you. It's a sign that you triggered something real inside him, something he didn't plan for, something he doesn't yet understand. He must face himself before he knows how to face you. He must process the shift inside him before he can step forward again. And sometimes the silence you receive is not abandonment. It is the sound of a man trying to navigate emotions he's never learned to handle. Women connect fast, men process slow. When it comes to emotional connection, men and women often move at completely different speeds, and this difference creates confusion, doubt, and unnecessary heartbreak, especially for women. Women connect fast not because they are desperate, needy, or overly emotional, but because they are naturally wired to feel deeply, intuitively, and wholeheartedly. When a woman likes a man, she doesn't just see his face or hear his words. She scans his soul. She feels his intentions, his tone, his presence. She picks up on connection the way a heart picks up a rhythm. For her, the emotional link forms quickly because she leads with her heart, her instinct, and her emotional intelligence. A woman's emotions don't ask for permission. They flow, they move, they attach. When she feels a spark, she allows it. When she sees potential, she embraces it. When something feels real, she leans into it. She has spent her whole life nurturing connections with friends, family, coworkers, even strangers. Emotional connection is not new territory for her. It's familiar ground. She knows how to open her heart without losing herself, and she knows how to care deeply even before she has all the answers. This natural ability makes her connect fast, and it is not a weakness. It is her superpower. Men, however, operate from a different emotional system. A man can feel attraction instantly, desire quickly, curiosity immediately, but connection takes time. Not because he doesn't care, not because he isn't interested, and not because he is playing games. He processes slowly because his emotional wiring was built to protect him from vulnerability. Men are taught from a young age to be cautious with their feelings, to stay in control, to avoid getting overwhelmed, and to think before they leap. So even when he genuinely feels something for a woman, a man needs time to understand, interpret, and trust those feelings. A woman may feel, this is right, while a man may think, is this safe? A woman may think, I want to invest, while a man may think. A woman may sense a future, while a man evaluates the present. This difference doesn't mean he is slow because he doesn't care. It means he slows down because he does. A man who feels nothing can move fast, but a man who feels something real often pulls back, not to distance himself from the woman, but to examine the intensity of what he's experiencing. He is not just falling for her. He is analyzing himself. He is questioning his readiness, his capacity, his stability, his past patterns, and even his future. He wants to make sure that if he lets himself go deeper, he won't fail her or disappoint himself. Women bond emotionally first. Men bond emotionally last. A woman's heart leads the way. A man's mind must clear the path before his heart follows. This is why you'll often notice that women catch feelings early, but men fall in love later and harder. When a woman connects, she allows the connection to grow with presence, communication, and emotional availability. But when a man processes slowly, he moves in stages, feeling, thinking, questioning, evaluating. And once he reaches clarity, he loves with a depth that is steady, anchored, and committed. This difference in timing creates tension. Women wonder why he hasn't opened up yet, why he hasn't labeled the relationship, why he hasn't moved as fast as she feels the chemistry. But what she sees as hesitation is often calculation, not avoidance. He isn't doubting her. He's trying to understand himself. He's trying to make sure his heart and life are aligned before he steps forward. When a woman connects too fast for his emotional pace, he may step back, not because he wants distance, but because he's trying not to hurt her by moving impulsively. His slow processing protects her, not himself. He wants to be sure that his intentions match his actions, that his emotions match his readiness, and that his words won't turn into disappointments later. A man who processes slowly is trying to show up the right way, not the fast way. Women must understand this timing difference not as rejection, but as rhythm. Emotional connection between a man and a woman is like a dance. She steps forward softly, emotionally, openly. He steps forward cautiously, thoughtfully. But once he catches the rhythm and trusts the music, he becomes all in. And when a man finally connects, after processing, after evaluating, after understanding, his connection is not temporary or fragile. It is fierce, steady, loyal, and deeply rooted. Women connect fast because they feel safe in love. Men process slow because they want to feel safe before they love. And once a man finishes processing, the love he gives is the kind a woman never has to question. Sometimes a man disappears to improve himself. Sometimes a man steps back not because he's done with you, not because he's lost interest, and not because there's someone else. He disappears because loving you makes him face parts of himself he's not proud of, not ready for, or not willing to expose yet. When a man meets a woman who carries real value, real depth, and real emotional power, he begins to see himself through her eyes. Suddenly, he notices the gaps he ignored. He feels the flaws he buried. He recognizes the weaknesses he pretended didn't exist. And for a man who wants to be the best version of himself, that realization is loud. Louder than your words, louder than his emotions, and louder than the connection itself. A man who truly cares steps back to improve, not because he wants distance from you, but because he wants to close the distance between who he is today and who he knows he needs to become for a woman like you. He starts thinking about his responsibilities, his finances, his habits, his discipline, his emotional maturity, his purpose, and even his past mistakes. The pressure isn't coming from you. It's coming from the standard he believes you deserve. And instead of dragging you into his chaos or giving you half of himself, he chooses to disappear so he can return as someone complete, not someone confused. Men have always been conditioned to provide, protect, and lead. Even today, even if society has changed, those instincts haven't. A good man wants to feel like he can offer stability, not stress, consistency, not confusion, progress, not problems. And when he senses that he isn't living up to that standard, when he feels like you deserve a version of him he hasn't become yet, he pulls away to rebuild himself quietly. Not every man wants to heal in front of someone. Not every man knows how to grow while staying emotionally available. Sometimes stepping back is the only way he knows how to confront his own failures without feeling judged, pressured, or exposed. Women often misunderstand this because women grow differently. Women can evolve while loving, while communicating, while being present. But men often grow in silence, in solitude, and in distance. They don't improve through talking, they improve through action. They don't heal through conversation. They heal through fixing what's broken inside them. A man who sees his flaws clearly becomes uncomfortable showing them to the woman he cares for. He doesn't want her to see him weak, unstable, lost, or unfocused. He wants her to see him strong, capable, decisive, and intentional. So he disappears not as an escape, but as preparation. When a man steps back to improve, he's fighting battles you may never hear about. He's confronting childhood wounds, financial stress, insecurity, fear of failure, pressure to succeed, and emotional habits he never learned to manage. He's trying to prove to himself that he is worthy of the love he feels for you. He wants to come back able to lead instead of follow, able to contribute instead of drain, and able to stand beside you instead of leaning on you for everything. And this improvement isn't superficial, it's deep. He thinks about what kind of man he wants to be: a loyal man, a stable man, a consistent man, a man with direction, a man with future plans, a man who can offer partnership instead of pulling you into problems you didn't create. He distances himself because he wants to fix the very things that could eventually hurt you. He thinks long-term, even when he doesn't say it out loud. Women often ask, if he cared, why didn't he stay? But for some men, staying while broken feels disrespectful. They'd rather disappear and come back as someone they can be proud of, someone you can trust, someone who can stand firm. His silence is him rebuilding. His distance is him restructuring. His absence is him transforming. Understand this: a man who disappears to improve himself is not abandoning the connection. He is protecting it. He wants to make sure that when he stands in front of you again, he can look you in the eye and know he has something real to offer, something strong, something reliable. He steps back because he wants the next version of himself to match the value he sees in you. When you give too much, he panics. There is a kind of fear that rises inside a man, not when a woman withdraws, but when she gives too much. It's a fear he rarely admits, rarely understands, and almost never explains. Women often believe giving more love, more support, more loyalty, more consistency will make him feel secure, appreciated, and loved. But for many men, especially those who are emotionally unprepared or internally insecure, the opposite happens. The more you give, the more he starts to feel something he never expected: pressure. Not the pressure you think, not pressure from you, but pressure from within himself. Pressure to rise to your level. Pressure to match your consistency. Pressure to return the same kind of effort that you give so naturally. And when he realizes he can't or won't, he panics. A man knows when he is receiving more than he can offer. He knows when he is being loved in a way he doesn't feel ready to reciprocate. He knows when your loyalty, patience, and emotional availability are far greater than what he's prepared to give back. And instead of stepping up, many men step back, not because they don't want you, not because your love is a burden, and not because you're too much, but because your giving exposes their shortage. It highlights their inconsistency. It reminds them of the emotional work they never did, the goals they haven't reached, the maturity they haven't developed. Some men panic because they feel undeserving. They look at you, the way you care, the way you show up, the way you invest, and think, she deserves better than what I am right now. It's not arrogance, it's inadequacy. He senses the quality of the woman in front of him, and instead of rising into that standard, he retreats out of fear of disappointing you. And if he's never experienced a healthy, stable, emotionally secure relationship before, your care feels foreign, uncomfortable, overwhelming. So instead of embracing it, he distances himself from it, not because the love is wrong, but because it feels too right. When you give too much too soon, a man often interprets it differently than you intend. You see it as love, effort, connection. He sees it as responsibility he may not feel prepared to carry. Suddenly, every good morning text feels like a commitment. Every thoughtful gesture feels like a milestone. Every act of affection feels like a step deeper into something he's still trying to mentally process. You're already emotionally there. He's still at the beginning, running calculations in his mind about whether he can sustain what you naturally offer. And when those calculations don't bring him clarity, fear takes over. Women give out of abundance. Men give out of greediness. That difference creates emotional imbalance. A woman's heart knows how to love early. A man's heart learns how to love gradually. So when you give too much before he's ready, he doesn't interpret it as generosity. He interprets it as acceleration. he starts feeling like the relationship is moving faster emotionally than he can keep up with mentally. And instead of communicating that he's overwhelmed, instead of telling you he needs time, instead of being honest, he shuts down, withdraws, or disappears. It's not maturity, but it is a real male pattern. When you give too much, he also fears expectations. Even if you don't say it, he assumes you'll eventually want the same effort back. He assumes you'll want emotion